If the economy crashes tomorrow, these five military career fields will still be funded, still be needed, and still be advancing. Let me break down the ones that survive every recession. Number one, medical, medical, combat medic, nursing, medical officer. Why is this career recession proof in the military? Well, number one, healthcare never stops. As long as you have people, they're going to need to take care of their health, and their health must be maintained. Um, Military medical support is always required, whether it's on or off the battlefield. This is something that is always going to be needed. And also, to include in the medical field with the military, I would also include um, dentist. You know, you're going to need dentists. You'll need also dental technicians, as well as we have to take care of our mouth, because our mouth is a and our teeth as well is a key part of our health. So as long as you have people, they have to have medical attention, because people have to take care of their health. So that right there is definitely a key staple in terms of career fields in the military that will never go out of business. Career number two, cyber, IT, and signal. Okay, digital warfare, is expanding. Cyber defense budgets, they keep increasing. And to add nuance to this, we have to consider artificial intelligence now on the rise, and which obviously the federal government and the military is integrating more and more. So definitely, cybersecurity and IT and signal is definitely going to be key in the military in the future. And this particular career field, as we modernize and societies modernize, and you bring in more artificial intelligence and the digital age, um, warfare in the military is changing. It's rapidly advancing, and I still believe that we will have soldiers or boots on the ground, but as we advance in technology, and obviously other nations are advancing with their militaries, I do foresee artificial intelligence being integrated on the battlefield. So this is just something to think about. And a lot of military systems, are also um, being digitized. So this is the new era, and it's a new age, and this is definitely a key career field that is recession proof, and that if you guys are going to go into the military, this is one of those that you may want to look at, provided it's something that you want to do in this career field. This is going to last on the inside of the military or the outside. So just something to consider, guys. Something to consider. Um, the next career field in the military that is recession proof, guys, and probably maybe a lot of people overlook: logistics and supply chain. And if you guys ever heard the saying, you can't fly without supply. Yes, indeed. I don't care what branch of service it is, what business operation you run, or even in your personal life, you need logistics and a supply chain. Um, armies, they cannot operate without movement of resources, and that includes every branch of service, whether it's the Marines, whether it's the Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, you know, your Reserve National Guard. They all need logistics and supply chain. Global instability increases demand. And this right here is Definitely true in the military. A military that has a broken supply chain, it can't win a war. Your logistics involves the movement of people, bullets, bombs, food. To it involves, what I'm saying, shelter, water. I mean, I could go on and on, about it. Military aircraft or tanks, or ships, they have to have interchangeable parts, and parts have to be replaced. You know, um, Military equipment. Sometimes over a period of time, equipment, will get old and it has to be maintained. So you have to have interchangeable parts, with which to replace it. You know, also, all militaries, all branches of service, hey, your troops got to eat. They got to eat. They definitely need water. You can only go 3 days without water, and supposedly 7 days without food. So they need food, water, they need shelter. You need medical supplies. What happens if you have troops that may get sick? You have to be able to administer the appropriate vaccinations. What I'm saying, different types of medicine, as required. You know, and if you want to get a clear understanding of how important logistics and supply chain is, look at what's going on even on the civilian side. Look what happens with the breakdown of supply chains when Trump and China got into it with their tariffs. When truckers can't get these goods, and cargo, loaded up, and they can't get stuff to grocery stores, or they can't get medicine to pharmacies. Look at the breakdown that it causes. And that's just everyday society. And with the military, um, that goes double. You know, I'll share a quick story of what almost happened to us when I was in the Middle East, in Iraq. And what happened, and I know I told this story before on other videos about the time when, let me see, what do we have? Something like 21,000 detainees, and then you had 7,000 um, military members, all different branches, and some civilians. And so that's 28,000 miles that you have to feed and you have to house. Well, what happened is our head leadership, or the base commander, and those guys, they made a strategic mistake. They allowed our food supply to get down to, I believe, something within 3 weeks food supply left. And then also, I think, let me see, how much water did we have left? I think we might have had what got down to like maybe about a month supply of water. And um, what happened is they failed to plan for an alternate route for us to be able to get, keep our supply chain and logistics moving. What happened is that the local civilian population didn't want military convoys in Iraq. They didn't want military convoys clogging up, their highways, and it was a shorter route for us to get supplies from Kuwait, so we could go 11 miles in, from Iraq to get into Kuwait, and then from there we could go to the specific bases that we needed to re-up. What I'm saying, on supplies. Well, once the citizens in Iraq begin to complain about our military convoys, what happened is that the politicians in that area of that city, they changed the rules on us, which means that we would have to now take another route, which would cause us to drive something like 8 to 11 hours into Iraq, which would mean things would get more dangerous. So we have to take like a L shape going deeper into Iraq to drive all the way around to get back to Kuwait, coming in through another entry point, you know? And so obviously it's no secret, about the Middle East at that time with Afghanistan and Iraq and how dangerous, it was, especially with IEDs, snipers. I mean, all of that stuff. So now you're talking about having more military casualties or people being KIA, which is killed in action, you know, basically trying to get to Kuwait to get more supplies before our post or our FOB, forward operating base, runs out. You can't have a military that's going to starve to death, you know, or it doesn't have bombs and bullets. You know what I'm saying? We needed things to protect ourselves and also so that we could eat medical supplies. I mean, it's all types of stuff, man. But that's a real life scenario. And, you know, it's one thing to hear this stuff, on a live or, on a video, what I'm saying, or as content. It's another to actually be put under pressure like that to actually have to live through this in a combat situation. And we had to, I was one of them, that actually experienced this, what I'm saying, being under the gun and pressure like that, but not to any fault, of my own. It's due to the mismanagement and the bad decision making of leadership at the top, what I'm saying, um at the top, tactical operations, what I'm saying, command, what I'm saying. They made the error. And because we didn't have a at that time we didn't have a runway built in to the particular fob where I was deployed at. We didn't have a runway built in yet, so we couldn't fly or airlift supplies in. We had to drive on convoys to go get them, and it almost severely, what I'm saying, cost us. But fortunately, we were able to get what we needed just in time. And then they started laying out plans to build a runway. So therefore, now we can have cargo planes bring in whatever we needed. But I'm just sharing that, guys, with you, so you kind of get a clearer understanding, what I'm saying, or it brings it more to life. Anyway, moving on. The fourth, what I'm saying, career field, that's recession proof in the military. Intelligence. 35 series, man. National security doesn't pause for recessions. Intelligence demand rises during instability. Your enemy never sleeps. And so just because your country may be having a recession or any particular crisis, intelligence gathering is going on, what I'm saying, with every nation 24/7. There's always intelligence going on, and this is a crucial career field. It's extremely crucial, to maintain surveillance and top intelligence. Um, let's see, what is a good example that I could think of? 9/11. Look what happened during 9/11 in the United States. So if you don't think intelligence is crucial, you are sadly mistaken. You know, intelligence gathering and stuff like that. It is extremely crucial in order to protect the United States, and that would go for any country. All countries have to have intelligence in order to protect itself and protect its borders. And let's keep it real. All nations have spies and intelligence officers, and they have psyops, what I'm saying, going. All nations do. In all nations they snoop on each other, what I'm saying. And then certain nations that are allies, they share, intelligence. I'm just telling it like it is, guys. I'm telling it like it is. All nations do. What I'm saying? We have our allies, with which we share intelligence with, just like China, Russia, what I'm saying, other North Korea and other countries that are aligned, with them, what I'm saying, share intelligence with each other in order to um, maintain, national security and to protect itself. It's just real. I got a story for that too. When I had a special duty assignment years ago, where I worked at this map depot when I was in Bahrain, and I got to see every different type of map that you could think of for every location on planet Earth. Yeah, I saw I mean everything, and I could look and tell. I already knew um what conflicts the United States was going to get into, probably like about 5 to probably 6 years in advance. I already knew where they were going because you see the graphics and the charts, that are coming in, and so these maps, they have to be deployed or given, what I'm saying, to troops to use them. What I'm saying, these particular maps, you have everything from what do you have? Hydro, aeronautical. You have city charts, city graphics. You have evacuation charts. You have charts of the jungle. And these maps, even though they give out detailed information, they are intentionally made. What I'm saying, to keep it as simple as possible, but yet strategic. And so pilots, what I'm saying, from every branch of service use them, to include NATO forces and foreign forces, and even certain civilian intelligence agencies. So that means CIA, FBI, NSA, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. All military, they use them, what I'm saying? FSB, what I'm saying? You name it, MI6, what I'm saying? They use these particular maps. And these maps, they lay out, what I'm saying, in detail, what is needed, and it's user friendly. So I'll give you a good example. Let's say you have a pilot, whether they're flying whatever type of aircraft they're flying, whether it's helicopters or whether it's planes, whatever. Okay, and so let's say you have an evacuation chart, or say you got evac charts. What I'm saying, say that's in different types of rain, like say the jungle. Um, these maps are geared to tell ground forces exactly what type of plant life they can eat. It tells them exactly where to dig for water. Now, um, let's say, because obviously in the jungle it's going to be easy because you got a lot of plant life, so obviously there's water beneath the roots. You know what I'm saying? Those plants, they can't be sustained without sunlight and also without water. So through its roots is how they extract the water. What I'm saying, beneath the surface, and keep itself hydrated, and it gets its nutrients. Okay, so on in the evac chart, what it will do, it'll tell you, which plants are poisonous. What I'm saying, which ones not to eat, what to stay away from, exactly where to dig. What I'm saying, where to dig at. What I'm saying, until the water comes up, and then from there, I believe it tells you how to desalinate. What I'm saying, how to purify. What I'm saying, the water supply to make it potable. Now, if you're in the desert, even the desert has plant life. So um a simple analogy would be, wherever you see, if you see any trees, any form of plant life in the desert, cactuses, immediately that is where your point where you want to start digging, and you keep digging until you hit, what I'm saying, where the water's at, and eventually it'll come up, and then from there you take that water, and you can either boil it. What I'm saying, you take it through a purification process, so that way you make the water potable, so that way you can either drink it, or you can use it, what I'm saying, to bathe with, whatever, once it's purified, and you get the whatever, the bacteria or impurities out. So I'm just using something, like that, on a basic level. you know um Now, how does the military, one of the ways that they get these maps is They use what is known as some surveillance, sophisticated surveillance systems. One of them is called the AWACS. You know what I'm saying? And what that is, the AWACS is a particular surveillance aircraft that the military uses. And like I had mentioned before, from 30,000 feet above, this particular aircraft, it can scan, it can take pictures. This stuff is so sophisticated that from 30,000 feet, it can take a picture of what type of underwear you got on, exact color. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the ways that they you know get pictures, you know what I'm saying, of the Earth's land mass and its water as well. And also, you know what I'm saying, the skies. And this stuff is geographically um divided up, you know what I'm saying? So, I got to see all this stuff, you know what I'm saying, and have an understanding from the inside out, to a certain extent, how some things work, based on my military experience and certain type of assignments, that I've had during my career. But it breaks everything down, and um, every government has them, but definitely your major governments, your major players, all the big dogs. You know what I'm saying? They definitely got them. You know what I'm saying? Every country you can think of, they got it. If it's on Iran, trust me, the United States, they got the graphics. You know what I'm saying? All already, they got it. They got. I mean, they got stuff, man, and those stuff you ain't even heard of. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna. I don't. I don't want to go too far in depth, but I'll just put it to you this way. I was in charge of the classified, um, you know, map area. You know what I'm saying? So I got to see the stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? But these maps, on the back of it, you see in fine print. You know what I'm saying? And it's USC code. It's a code on it by the federal government that if any of these maps are found, you can't just take them and throw them in the garbage. You ought to take that map and you ought to either turn it into law enforcement or turn it back into the military. And then from there, they can either take the map and either restore it, or what they can do, they can shred it. You know what I'm saying? These maps, they have to be, there's a particular way that they have to be discarded and destroyed. So that way they can never be used, you know what I'm saying, ever again. You know what I'm saying? And if an individual tries to do anything illegal with these maps, you try to keep them and you get caught. According to the USC code, I forgot the penal code, but you can face up to 5 years imprisonment and a $10,000 fine. So that's how serious they take this. You know what I'm saying? But, anyway, yeah. So intelligence, is crucial, guys. We may not think about it, like that, and we may overlook it, but um, little details make up the big picture, and the military is definitely an institution that believes in following details. They are detailed. Say they believe in the method of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You know that's not an offensive term, guys, but it actually is, it's an acronym or a term, but that's what it stands for. Keep it simple, stupid. So it's, they try to make, even though it may be sophisticated, there are still, I'm saying, steps, and keep it as simple as possible. So that way it's user friendly, and you can easily carry it out and follow directions and instructions in any operation. And let's see what else. Engineering, you know, civil engineering, combat engineering, infrastructure, um, base construction, disaster response and preparedness, infrastructure rebuilds. You are always gonna need engineering. You know what I'm saying? And you have different types, you know what I'm saying, of engineering. For my Marines, you know what I'm saying, the devil dogs, huh? What's up, y'all? You know what I'm saying? For my army, you know what I'm saying? What they call it in the army, the Army Corps of Civil Engineers. What's up, y'all? Air Force calls it civil engineering. CE, what's up, baby? Shout out to you. And what is I forgot what the Navy calls it. I forgot the name for what the Navy and the Coast Guard calls it for their civil engineering. But hey, shout out to you guys too. You know what I'm saying? But you need engineering. It is a must. You know what I'm saying? You have engineering that comes in different forms. You got it architecturally. You know what I'm saying? Things have to be built. You even have it, even with cybersecurity, with cyberspace, you have engineers for that. Things and systems, always have to be built. They have to be modernized, and you have to construct systems and things, to move with the times and transition. So the military is not the type of institution that is going to stay in one place. You know what I'm saying? Normally, the military strives to stay on the cutting edge. It seeks to stay on the cutting edge of of technology and whatever it is with the times, and many inventions. A lot of times they are tested and come through the military first before they are released to the civilian population. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, you're gonna need bases that they got to be built, and then once you build something, it's got to be maintained. You know what I'm saying? The military has engineers, saying, that build different types of equipment. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it never seeks to stay in one place. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, any type of infrastructure that you build, whether it's physical, digital, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying, an infrastructure must undergo changes according to the times and the era that it's in. Nothing stays the same, you know what I'm saying? And the military tries, it seeks, what I'm saying, to do a good job of staying on the cutting edge and make sure it transitions with technology and um to particular time that we're in, and to stay ahead for the future. You know what I'm saying? um that is definitely one of the goals of the United States military, is to make sure, ensures that it stays ahead of its competitors. You know what I'm saying? Which obviously its rivals, we already know China, Russia, Iran, you know what I'm saying? And you got, like I said, other militaries are doing the same thing as well. It's like an arms race. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't build weapons, you know what I'm saying, without engineers. You have to have engineers, you know what I'm saying, that with, what I'm saying, scientists, that build, what I'm saying, different types of weapons, different types of equipment, you know what I'm saying, different types of structures, you know what I'm saying. I give you nuclear blast facilities. You have to have engineers for that stuff, man. So all of this, what I'm saying, plays a role, what I'm saying. Every detail, what I'm saying, matters. And this is some of the reasons why this particular career field and the four others are recession proof. They are needed, around the clock. And as I close on this, guys, recessions eliminate weak industries. They don't eliminate national defense. National defense is going to go on regardless. You know what I'm saying? National defense is it's not something that the United States or any nation can afford to let up on. This is 24/7 around the clock, you know what I'm saying? Surveillance and protection, you know what I'm saying, of the country, and, what I'm saying, its citizens and its wealth. You know what I'm saying? People, places, and things, you know what I'm saying? The United States, like any other nation, has to. National defense is a must. Without it, you won't have a country. It can be taken over or overran. But I'm gonna slow my roll on this, and um stop it right there. But thank you guys, for listening. And I will have some other content coming out. And what I want to do, I want to follow up with qualifications for these five military careers. So it's one thing for me to tell you what's recession proof. Now, let me tell you exactly what you need to do um, to get into these career fields, what the qualifications are. So you have you could say maybe a pipeline, and some information for those that are interested in these military career fields. But during the recession, guys, hey, We got to keep money coming in, and nobody wants to go hungry. You know what I'm saying? So we want to have food in our bellies, a roof over our head, and shelter for ourselves, and even for our families and loved ones. So this is a pathway. You know what I'm saying, and something to be considered. But thank you guys for listening. And the name of this channel is Snacks123, SNAKZ 123 on Rumble, guys. So please subscribe and follow me on Rumble. Leave a comment, and like or unlike, what I'm saying, the live stream or the videos. Love to dialogue with you and love to hear your perspective and your point of view. Everyone has a right to be heard, guys. And please share. What I'm saying, please share this Rumble channel and the live streams and the videos. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Eric Broadus YouTube, EricBroadus YouTube, or ericbroadusyoutube.com. So go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe, guys. Smash the bell, become a subscriber, turn on all notifications, hit the like or unlike button. And to like the videos, hit the hype button to hype the videos on YouTube. Leave a comment. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your opinions. Love to dialogue with you. And please share it. Share it. Also, I have my snacks thoughts podcast, SNAKZ THOUGHTS snacks thoughts. And you can find the podcast on Spotify, Spreaker, Radio PBM, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and a host of other social media outlets. So please go to my snacks thoughts and subscribe and join me over there as well, and share it as well. And lastly, I have the 5 best weight loss solutions. I will leave a link in the description so you can take care of your health, guys. Saying these are weight loss and nutrition, products and supplements. I recommend click on the link, purchase the products, and take the products, and also share the link, with others so that they can do the same. Next to God, the next best thing that you have is your health. You get one life and you get one body, guys. Ladies and gentlemen. So please take care of it. Take care of your health. Your health is your wealth. But that's all I have, guys. And please share all of these, what I'm saying, share them, with friends, family, frenemies, enemies, rats, dogs, bats, goats, cats, whatever. Share them, push them out. That's all I have on this one, guys. Peace out. Catch you on the next one later.